Who will win the future of AI, the United States or China? This is an important question because it's not just about tech, it's about who will control the future of our world.
China's AI ambitions are no longer a distant concern. They're here, reshaping the balance of global power. The United States and the United Kingdom are now racing to respond, scrambling to keep control over the future of artificial intelligence before Beijing locks in dominance. But has Washington and London's shift in strategy come too late? Stay tuned. Washington's shifting semiconductor playbook. The United States has moved aggressively in recent years to restrict China's access to advanced semiconductors, fearing Beijing's rapid advances in artificial intelligence and high-performance computing. Initial measures, imposed under both the Biden and Trump administrations, focused on blocking the export of NVIDIA's A100 and H100 chips, critical components for training large AI models. Yet the restrictions created unintended consequences. U.S. chipmakers lost access to their largest market, with China accounting for roughly a third of global semiconductor demand. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang warned that U.S. policy slashed the company's market share in China from 95% to 50%. He estimated the loss from the H20 export ban alone at $15 billion. More importantly, China doubled down on self-reliance. With vast state subsidies, firms like Huawei and SMIC accelerated chip design and fabrication. Huawei's Ascend 910C chips and SMIC's 7nm process technology, though still behind global leaders like TSMC, represent tangible progress. By some projections, Chinese-designed AI chips could command 55% of the domestic market by 2027. Faced with this reality, the Trump administration pivoted. It approved the export of NVIDIA's H20 under a revenue-sharing arrangement, requiring the company to remit 15% of proceeds to Washington. Downgraded versions of NVIDIA's Blackwell GPUs and AMD's MI308 also received licenses. The strategy: keep China tethered to U.S. technology rather than risk a total decoupling. Beijing's calculated response: China has responded with a dual strategy. Pragmatism in the short term, independence in the long term. Demand for U.S. chips remains strong, as NVIDIA's H20 still outperforms domestic rivals in training efficiency and integrates seamlessly with the CUDA ecosystem. Major Chinese tech companies reportedly ordered 700,000 H20 units after restrictions eased in July. But Beijing is cautious. The Cyberspace Administration of China summoned NVIDIA over allegations that the H20 chips contained hidden backdoors. Chinese regulators also pressed companies like ByteDance and Tencent to justify their purchases and prioritize domestic alternatives. These moves signal that U.S. chips are viewed as potential strategic liabilities, useful now but dangerous in the long run. At the same time, progress on homegrown solutions continues. Huawei's Ascend 910C rivals NVIDIA's H20 in inference tasks, even surpassing it in energy efficiency. Coupled with innovations such as Huawei's Cloud Matrix 384 system, which uses all optical networking, China's AI hardware sector is increasingly competitive. These steps suggest that Beijing's vision of technological independence is more realistic than Washington once assumed. A fragmenting AI ecosystem. The most significant outcome of these tensions may not be which country dominates AI, but rather the creation of two parallel ecosystems. One will be anchored by the United States and its allies, Taiwan, South Korea, Japan, and European partners, leveraging cutting-edge nodes from TSMC and ASML. The other will be built around China and supported by sympathetic states in Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. This bifurcation is already visible in software ecosystems. NVIDIA's CUDA dominates US-aligned markets, while China is investing heavily in open-source frameworks like Mindspore and PaddlePaddle. Over time, global firms may be forced to choose between ecosystems, fragmenting the AI landscape much like the internet itself split into Chinese and Western spheres. The UK's alarm bells. Amid this recalibration, the United Kingdom has stepped forward with a stark warning. Lord Peter Mandelson, Britain's ambassador to Washington, described China as a clear shared threat and urged joint US-UK efforts to counter Beijing's technological rise. Speaking at the Atlantic Council, he compared China to a rival more formidable than the Soviet Union, economically sophisticated, highly innovative, and strategically patient. Mandelson argued that AI should become the spear point of transatlantic collaboration. Rather than burdening the industry with heavy-handed regulation, he suggested the US and UK should unleash AI's transformative potential to preserve Western advantage. His comments followed the announcement of a US-UK trade deal that cut tariffs on British steel and cars, opening the door for deeper technology cooperation. Trade deals as tech alliances. Economic agreements are increasingly seen not just as trade frameworks, but as vehicles for technological alignment. The US-UK deal, while modest in tariff reductions, sets the stage for digital trade and AI collaboration. Both countries view technological dominance as central to future prosperity and security. Mandelson acknowledged that Trump's 10% tariff baseline on imports is unlikely to disappear, but suggested flexibility within that baseline to reduce barriers in areas of mutual advantage. This reflects a broader reality. Trade deals in the coming decade will be less about liberalizing commerce and more about forging coalitions in strategic technologies. Strategic patience in Beijing. Even as Washington and London rally allies, Beijing demonstrates long-term patience. China does not need to immediately match US capabilities in cutting-edge chips. It only needs to reduce vulnerability. Progress from 14 nanometers to 7 nanometers nodes, coupled with packaging innovations and energy efficiency gains, already allows Huawei and SMIC to deliver commercially viable AI chips. China's leaders see US sanctions not just as economic measures, but as proof of strategic hostility. This perception hardens their determination to pursue independence, even if it requires years of subsidies and industrial policy. Every US move to recalibrate restrictions is interpreted less as a goodwill gesture and more as evidence that reliance on American technology is a liability, a closing window for leverage. Washington's hope in loosening restrictions is to preserve leverage, to keep Chinese companies dependent on US hardware and ecosystems. But the window for such leverage may already be closing. China's investments in self-reliance, coupled with growing suspicion of US intentions, make a return to dependence unlikely. For the UK and US, the strategic imperative now is not to prevent China's rise, but to ensure that Western alliances remain at the technological frontier. That requires sustained cooperation, coordinated export policies, and investments in next-generation breakthroughs, from 2 nanometer process nodes to quantum computing. The alternative is not just losing a race, but competing in a world where 2 parallel AI systems define global power. Do you think Washington and London still have a chance to keep China in check, or is it already too late? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell for more updates.